Hey everyone, it's me, Anime Game Nerd here, bringing you my Beelzebub chapter 231 review. Now, if anything may seem off in this review, it's because I have a bit of a headache, and this morning I didn't feel well at all. Had complete fucking migraine and shit like that. So yeah, if anything feels a little off, it's because I have a bit of a headache. But let's get into the review. Now, I didn't review last week's Beelzebub chapter, but I did read the chapter, and there was something I want to talk about with the chapter. Actually, a couple things I'll mention in this review, but this is going to, unlike the manga chapter where I reviewed last week's and this week's chapter, I will only be covering the Beelzebub chapter here. Got it? And let's begin. The chapter more so picks up where the last one leaves off with Olga finding about to fight Jonah, and Jonah says finale, and Jonah says, "Do you seriously think that being me, everything will be all over for you? You can't be that dumb." And the fight more so begins with Jonah this motherfucker just takes Olga's head and throws him straight onto the table, and it breaks in half. And I was more so worried about Billy because it looks like Baby Beelzebub just falls straight off of him. And pretty much we also see the fact that Jonah is giving this weird speech about the common cuckoo, like a bird and chicken, I think, to Olga, and he compares to them to where they're like those stupid birds. And honestly, I didn't really care for the speech. I know I'm a bit weird like that, but nonetheless, I'm like, eh. Then we see, in fact, Iris does something pretty cool. She more so bashes her head into the barrier to try and break it. But that doesn't. And then Baby Beelzebub sees this. More so an employee of the Solomon Company, who, well, at least she looks like one, knocks Iris out of her wheelchair, and Baby Beelzebub just snaps, giving Olga essentially a power-up. There's this one fucking panel to where Olga looks like he goes so, super fucking Saiyan, and I love the line Olga says, "This is where I'm going to bury you." Then he just takes Jonah's head and throws him straight, and just pounds him straight into the barrier, then punches him directly. Then the barrier breaks, and it looks like Jonah just got thrown out of the building. Then Hilda and Fuichi arrive. They see Olga staring at Iris, and Iris says, "Beelzebub." And then Fuichi and Hilda sees Iris, and then Iris says, "Beelzebub, you've really gotten bigger." Olga puts Baby Beelzebub down, and this is the best part of the chapter. It really is. Olga tells Baby Beelzebub to go to his mother, and Olga says, "If she said what was true, then my job here is done. Go back to the demon world with her." And then Olga says, "The sight of you trying to protect your mother was of that of a real man." Then Baby Beelzebub's holding on to him, tries to grab him, and is crying. And Olga says, "I remember this fucking deal early on in the series when Olga says, 'Didn't we make a deal that you wouldn't cry?'" And then this scene is just completely heartbreaking, especially if you've been like me and you've been reading Beelzebub for 2 fucking years, and you've grown attached to Olga and Baby Beelzebub's relationship to where they actually feel like a genuine father and son. Baby Beelzebub on the floor, on his knees, crying, and says, "Dad, Dad." And then we zoom into Olga, and he says, "This past year I spent with you was nothing but trouble, but it was a fun ride." And you can even see Olga is shedding tears. Which, this is... Now, some would say they don't like the direction where Olga's character went. The fact that out of nowhere he more so gave up on Baby Beelzebub, gave it to gave him back to Iris, but you have to remember this. He said his work there was something he felt like it was complete, there was no need for him to be in Baby Beel's life anymore, and the fact that he was shedding in tears. Because remember, at the very beginning of the series, it honestly feels like Olga really should have had this development, because remember at the beginning of the series to where, in the beginning, he would just try, he wanted Baby off him to where he was trying to find someone else to take care of him. Like, I remember like he asked then he asked Tojo to take care of Baby Beal in his place, but as the series went along, he started to care more about Baby Beal, and they actually felt like father and son. This was a great more so character. This chapter to me was a more so character defining moment for Olga. But there was one thing I want to happen. I feel like the series, especially with Olga, what he said soon, the finale, like before the finale, he should beat Jonah up. I'm a bit worried. Like, could that just mean the fact that Beelzebub is ending soon? Like, Beelzebub in the rankings, I believe it's on par with like what Kentucky Hitman Reborn and Magic Box were doing right before those series ended. And I say it's too soon for Baby Beal to end. They still haven't destroyed the Solomon Company entirely. They're still like, we have no fucking clue just about anything with Idol's mother. We have no clue what she's doing. Then there's a whole connection to Jonah and that one guy from like 40 chapters into the series that helped Olga Beering when he went to the demon world to retrieve, I believe it was Alan's daughter. There's a lot of loose ends, I would say, that the series needs to wrap up before it can end, but fucking Weekly Shonen Jump and the fucking readers that I hope Beelzebub can at least get like a couple more arcs, even if they're short arcs, to wrap the loose ends of the series up. Because this is one thing that, honestly, I don't want Beelzebub to end soon. Now, granted, perhaps it could pull itself through the rankings and survive for at least another, like, perhaps 40 like another year. That could be true. And perhaps the fact that what could potentially happen next chapter is Iris Morriso gets kidnapped by that assistant or another person, from the Solomon Company, and Olga has to go and retrieve her, and that could lead to the destruction of the Solomon Company. That I could see happening. But I really don't want Beelzebub to end at this point. I've been reading the series for 2 years. There's still like, I'm a big fan of the series. There's still a ton of loose ends. I just don't think it's time for Beelzebub to end yet. I'm not saying it should be like the next fucking One Piece where it's like 700 chapters long. No, don't get me wrong. I love One Piece. It's my favorite manga, but there are very few mangas that could pull that off, and if Beelzebub did that, I feel like it would just be dragging on. But overall, this was an amazing chapter of Beelzebub. This was more so a character-defining moment chapter for Olga. I guess my only really disappointment is the fact that I felt like Jonah got being a little too easy, but overall, this was a great Beelzebub chapter. So what were your guys' thoughts on this chapter? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you somewhere in the middle? If you like this video, leave it a like. If you dislike it, leave it a dislike. If you want to see more content like this, sub to me. And yeah, anyways, I'm a Game Nerd, signing out. Peace.